Are you looking to boost your self-esteem? Well, today I'm going to talk about one key that's a real strong self-esteem builder for me. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point for you then as well. So I was listening to one of my mentors the other day and recapping some materials, and it was a very good point that I reminded myself about. And it was this that as human beings, our purpose often impacts our self-esteem. And our purpose often is just to give to other human beings. It can be as simple as that. Now, we have many different purposes, people have different intentions and all that kind of thing. But it got me thinking. And he also talks about kindness and how important kindness can be. And when I've been kind, I felt good about myself, about who I am. And it doesn't just mean kind to other people, it's really important to start with yourself as well. When I've not been so kind to other people myself, that's often because I haven't felt so good about myself. But we can start when I start acting in ways where I'm kinder to myself and other people, that's when I feel like my self-esteem has really gone up. And it's a really simple concept. Yet it's often the simple things we forget about, right? So that's what I wanted to touch on and some steps today. Now ask yourself how it helps you being stuck in this cycle of, oh, I'm angry or resentful or jealous of someone else. Because I've certainly been caught up in those emotions many times, even the last year or so, right? I've been caught in that loop. Yet when I've been able to get into that kindness, and kindness doesn't mean like giving everything to everyone else and giving nothing yourself. No, kindness includes to yourself, giving yourself what you need. In fact, that's the foundations, the fundamental. Ask yourself, how is it helping you go feeling those feelings? And I'm not saying you're a person who's unkind to people or hurtful to people, right? Now, unfortunately, people do act in those ways. If you're listening to this, I very much doubt you're in that category of hurting other people. I'm just talking about how can you act a little bit more kinder to yourself and other people to therefore improve your self-esteem, because it's something I've been really trying to incorporate into my life. So here's a few steps, and let's keep this really simple, because when we make things complicated, we don't do them, let's face it. So the first thing, write down for 5 minutes and don't let the pen come off the paper. Just think about it, because even when you stop, your brain's going to keep searching for this question. Your brain looks for the answer to the question you ask it. And often we're asking ourselves bad questions, right? Like, what's wrong with me? What have I done wrong? And therefore, your brain's only going to find those negative answers. If you ask it this question, like, when I've been kind to other people, then it's going to look for some fairly good positive answers. Like, it could be, I had a really simple one the other day, and it made me quite emotional because I was actually quite in my head. I just wasn't having a good day, and a few of the situations in the last couple of years had built up, and I was just not feeling good. And then my amazing dad, he was struggling with the task, and yeah, I could see him struggling, and I just like instantly, it was just like, boom, gonna help him, and I felt better. I felt a lot better about myself and life in general because I'd gone out my way to help him. You could see he was really struggling with the task. So little examples like that, or maybe you said something kind to someone, maybe you spent a little bit more, you gave someone a little bit more understanding. Maybe you said, look, maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm not feeling very well, so I'm going to allow myself to stay in bed. That's an act of kindness to yourself, right? Now, I'm not talking about like staying in bed every day and avoiding the gym. No. In fact, you might have taken yourself to the gym, and that's an act of kindness because you're looking after your body and your mind. List all the times you've been kind to either yourself or other people, and just don't let that pen come off the paper for 5 minutes. The next one is, when have other people been kind to you? And just, again, do that for 5 minutes. Don't let your pen come off the paper. Right, obviously, if you're listening to someone, go do this exercise later. If you've got an opportunity now, do it now and pause the podcast. So write down all the times people have been kind to you, because often when we can get into a negative place, maybe someone's not behaving the way we want. And we can't have any control over that, but it can be quite emotional, right? And I'm not saying, right, you just go, oh, I can't have a control over that, and you brush your emotions away. No, that's not it. You have to express how you feel sometimes. You've got to really feel into those feelings. It can be really hard in those instances to think of times people being kind to you, right? Maybe you can relate to this. So think of the times people have been kind to you, because what that again does is gets your brain to start searching for more acts of kindness. And then you start feeling better about yourself and life and other people as well. So that's the second one. And the third point is create a menu of kindness. And what I mean by that is list maybe somewhere 5 to 10 things, more if you like, of a menu of things you can do that are kind. Maybe it's you. I live in the centre of Bristol. There's a lot of homeless people. Something I can do. I don't do it all the time, but I do it quite regularly. Is just give a little bit of loose change to homeless people. You go and volunteer at a hospital or something. That's something I've been meaning to do. Admittedly, that's on my list. Maybe and it doesn't have to be massive like that. Maybe you just compliment someone each day, even if that's on social media, ideally in person, because you can actually have that interaction. So write down a list of things you can do to be kind as well. So when we increase our kindness, it therefore makes us feel better about ourselves and the world as well, and starts building up that esteem. Now, here's a bonus point, and it's actually, again, it's a very simple one that we forget. Hang out with more kind, good-hearted people, right? I'm not talking necessarily people who are soft and pushovers, right? Although we can be like that, and obviously, if you might fall into that category slightly. I definitely have, and listen to some of my other podcast episodes. I'm talking about people who go out their way. They go out, they're givers, they're good people, because again, as human beings, we tend to adapt to the environments we hang out with, right? So if we're hanging out with these kind-hearted people, chances are you're going to start adapting that behavior and therefore start feeling good about yourself because you're being kind to other people as well. So that's my bonus point for you as well. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.